The story of Tamar and her brothers, Amnon and Absalom, is one of the most tragic and miserable Bible stories. Tamar, the most beautiful princess of King David, is caught up with Amnon's evil plans, which see her life shattered completely. The once happy princess walking with pride turns into a miserable lady who would only find solace in her full brother Absalom's house. David's sons' desires lead them to commit unacceptable deeds of violence, abuse, betrayal, and death, which divides the house of David. As we will see in this story, King David's inability to serve justice to Tamar leads to family cracks that continue throughout even after David's death. Join us as we uncover the layers of this heartbreaking story, exploring the roles played by her half-brother Amnon's twisted desire, her brother Absalom's cold vengeance, and their father King David's devastating silence. What lessons can we learn from Tamar's ordeal, and how does her story resonate through the ages? Before we jump into this Old Testament story, in the second book of Samuel chapter 13, ensure you have subscribed to always receive updates of every episode. If you like it, please comment and share. Tamar, the radiant princess of Jerusalem, was not just any princess. She was an epitome of beauty, the most beautiful among King David's daughters. Spending time in her father's palace, her purity was symbolized by the royal robes which virgin daughters of the king wore. Among this household of many daughters and sons, it is Tamar's half-brother, Amnon, who could change her life forever in an unimaginable way. Consumed by lust, Amnon comes up with a deceitful plan to take advantage of his sister Tamar. Amnon fell in love with his half-sister Tamar. Knowing that virgin daughters of the king were not allowed to meet men, Amnon's lust began consuming him slowly, turning him into a sad man. Jonadab, David's brother's son, was a close friend of Amnon. Taking note of Amnon's sadness, Jonadab was eager to know why he was looking sad day by day. Amnon opened up to Jonadab and revealed that he was in love with his half-sister Tamar. Jonadab was a cunning man. He came up with a plan that Amnon followed without questioning. As advised by Jonadab, Amnon lied in his bed and pretended to be ill. When the king heard of his illness and came to see him, Amnon pleaded with the king to send for Tamar to care for him. Without knowing of the danger King David was putting his beautiful daughter, he helped Amnon fulfill his evil plan. He sent for and ordered Tamar to go to Amnon's house, prepare him a meal, and nurse him to health. Tamar arrived at Amnon's residence, dressed in the royal robes, meant for all virgin daughters of the king. With a heart full of compassion, Tamar gets ready to nurse her brother, who she believed was genuinely sick, unaware of the danger that awaited her. As ordered by King David, Tamar prepares a meal for Amnon. While Tamar was ready to let Amnon have the meal, the cunning prince refused to eat and ordered everyone to leave the room, except Tamar. Amnon ordered Tamar to bring the food to his bedroom so that he could eat from her hands. As the door closed behind her, the air thickened with impending doom. Amnon's facade crumbled, revealing his true intentions as he demanded the unthinkable from Tamar. Not believing what she was hearing, Tamar quickly said no to the act. She pleaded with Amnon to instead speak to their father so that he could make her his wife. Determined to fulfill his dark desires, Amnon refused to hear Tamar's pleas. Being stronger than Tamar, Amnon overpowered Tamar, did the unthinkable, and violated his sister's purity. Trapped and betrayed, Tamar's cries fall on deaf ears. The heinous act is committed, a line crossed that can never be undone. Amnon's passion turns to disgust, casting Tamar aside as if she were nothing. After the violence was done, Amnon's passion turned to more hate than he had ever loved her. He quickly ordered Tamar to leave his bedroom so that he could erase the evidence. Tamar, in despair and disbelief, refused to do such a thing. How could she walk away after such an offense from her own blood? What drives a man to betray his own flesh and blood, to forsake the bonds of family for the fleeting satisfaction of desire? Amnon's descent into darkness was not merely a matter of lust, but a reflection of the moral compass that guided his actions. Did he truly believe his desires justified such deceit and betrayal? As if his evil was not enough, Amnon ordered his servant to throw Tamar out of his bedroom and close the door. Filled with disbelief and shame, Tamar broke down. The beautiful long robe with sleeves did not matter anymore. Ashamed of what had transpired, Tamar sprinkled ashes on her head, tore her beautiful robe, and walked away crying, with her face buried in her hands. The once happy princess, who walked elegantly in the palace, would not raise her head in the crowd. Her life was changed completely, beyond repair. In pain and mourning, Tamar could only turn to her brother Absalom. Hearing of Amnon's deeds, Absalom was furious, and silently vowed to correct the wrongs done to his sister. Although Absalom was filled with anger beyond words, he pretended that it was not a big deal. He asked Tamar to keep the incident a secret and let him handle everything. Broken and mourning of her stolen innocence, Tamar places her hope in her brother Absalom. When King David heard of what had happened, he was angry with Amnon. However, torn between love for his children, King David turns a blind ear to Tamar's pain. In the face of his daughter's suffering, why did King David hesitate to mete out justice, to protect the innocent and punish the guilty? How could such a revered king watch his daughter drown in sorrow her entire life? Amidst the shadows of deceit, despair, and pain, one man rises with a vow to right the wrongs of the past. But at what cost? Can Absalom's thirst for vengeance bring closure to Tamar's shattered world, or will it only sow the seeds of further destruction? As we brace ourselves for more approaching chaos, let us ask ourselves these questions and more. For in the heart of darkness lies the faint glimmer of hope, and in the silence of despair, the seeds of redemption are sown. As time went by, everyone had forgotten about the unfortunate injustices that Tamar had endured at the hands of her family, but not Absalom. Noting that King David was not going to give her sister justice, Absalom came up with a plan to ensure Amnon paid for his sins. 2 years had passed, and it was the season for sheep shearing, a time that was known for celebrations and gatherings. Planning to execute his vengeance, Absalom invites all his brothers to Bel Hazor. Hiding his dark intentions in smiles, he prepares a banquet that befits a king. Absalom ordered his servants to pay keen attention to Absalom. Once he had drunk enough and was unaware of what awaited him, he ordered his servants to kill him. As the wine flowed and spirits lifted, Absalom watched. The moment was ripe. With a cold voice cutting through the merriment, Absalom ordered his servants to kill Amnon. The servants, who were standing by waiting for the order, spared no second as they struck Amnon, falling to the ground. Amnon's shock turned to sorrow as he lay helplessly on the ground, his cries echoing against the stone walls, a chilling reminder of Tamar's own despair. The festival turned into chaos. Guests, realizing they were amidst an enemy who was ready to strike, fled the scene, driven by fear and the raw instinct to survive. King David's other sons saddled into their mules and fled into the city of Jerusalem to inform their father of the bad news. King David, hearing of his son's death, threw himself into the ground and mourned painfully. King David, confronted with the culmination of his inaction, wept for his sons, both the lost and the lost to him. The tragedy of Tamar had spiraled into a saga of revenge and regret that would haunt him to the end of his days. Aware of what he had done, Absalom fled the scene, afraid of facing his father. His fear led him to his maternal grandfather's place, king of Geshur, Talmai, son of Ammihud, and he stayed there for 3 years. As he hid from his father in Geshur, Absalom's heart changed completely, becoming cold. As we will see in future episodes, it is during this time that Absalom plans on overthrowing his father. As for Tamar, it remains unmentioned what happened to her. She lived a miserable life under the shadows of her brother's house. Considering the shame she underwent, it seems she never married or even had children of her own. As for King David, he yearned for his son, Absalom, after he was done mourning. King David failed to serve justice for Amnon, as he did with Tamar. He invited Absalom back to the palace, without any condition. As we will see in the future, this will cost King David's kingdom dearly. But amidst the darkness, there is a glimmer of hope. For in the heart of every tragedy lies the potential for redemption, for lessons learned and futures forged anew. Tamar's story may be one of sorrow and loss, but it is also a testament to the strength of the human spirit, the resilience of the oppressed, and the enduring power of justice and mercy. Join us in our next episode as we uncover the marvelous stories that curve our lives. If you have found this inspiring, don't forget to subscribe, comment, and share to spread this message of hope.